Hello and welcome to gusmcdollgames. I'm Nick McDowell and today we're playing Baltic Breakout, the 7th mission in the NATO campaign in Naval War Arctic Circle. Naval War Arctic Circle is based on a hypothetical Great Arctic War set in 2030 and fought in the North Atlantic, Arctic, Baltic and the North Sea. The NATO campaign covers the Great Arctic War as experienced from the Northern Partnership and NATO alliances. In Baltic Breakout, the Russian Baltic Fleet is moving towards the Denmark Strait. Each mission starts with a news article to give us some context. The Daily Global Courant, Sunday 29 September 2030. Russia delivers ultimatum to Poland, Germany. Russian demands threaten to drag Europe into war, German Chancellor warns. Russian demands to Denmark, Sweden and Finland of free access to the Baltic were today expanded to include the internal waters of Poland and Germany. Security in the Baltic region cannot be achieved if Russia is not assured of freedom of navigation in the Baltic Sea and through the Danish Straits. These terms are not subject to negotiation, a statement from the office of the Russian president read. Okay, Episode 7, Baltic Breakout. Intelligence shows that the Russian Baltic Fleet is moving towards the Denmark Strait, partly to support the invasion and partly to make its presence felt in the North Sea. Along with the North Fleet moving south, this will complete a naval stranglehold on Northern Europe. Objectives: the enemy surface fleet must be defeated. Okay, and we start out with a detection of a fixed-wing aircraft large contact. Our objective is to destroy at least 5 enemy surface combatants, and we must not lose 3 or more of our own surface combatants. The enemy has Seversky Air Base, from which they're likely to launch air attacks, and also Pskov Air Base slightly to the south of that, and again likely to launch air attacks from that air base. Over here we've detected a berry of A-50U Schmel. Here we have Ronneby Air Base, so we'll check out Ronneby. We've got 72 AMRAAM NASAMs, we've got our MPQ-64 Sentinel radar is active, so let's go to our flight deck. We've got a couple of Gripen, which we will launch into a medium height profile, and launch that to intercept the AWACS aircraft of the enemy. Meanwhile, we'll launch some other aircraft in patrol patterns to the east, because that Schmel is covering something. We also have standoff strike, and we have some air superiorities with about an hour left on the clock before they're ready to launch. So this is the Helsingborg, a Visby class corvette. Have a look at the weapon systems. Bofors 57mm with a range of 9 nautical miles. Bofors RBS-15 Mark IIIs with 135 nautical mile range, and a Type 45 torpedo with a 19 nautical mile range. It has an Ericsson Sea Giraffe AMB 3D radar. Also has a GDC hull-mounted sonar, 3 nautical mile range, and we'll activate that. And a Hydroscience Technologies towed array sonar with 9 nautical mile range against submarines will activate and deploy that sensor. Okay, what else have we got? We've got a Boeing P-8A Poseidon in an anti-submarine warfare patrol profile. We'll bring that back to the southwest. I'm a little bit uncomfortable, it's a bit exposed out there. Moving now to our surface action group, we have the Absalon, which is a support vessel. This is the Absalon. And it's armed with 36 RIM 162 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, 27 nautical mile range. It's got close-in weapon systems and Oerlikon 35mm gun. It has 6 FIM 92C Stinger SAMs, a Mark 45 5-inch gun. It's got MU-90 impact lightweight torpedoes, 11 nautical miles range, and RGM-84 harpoons, 16 of them against surface targets. Okay, before we have a look at the sensors, we'll have a look at the other vessels in the surface action group. This is the Eva Huitfeldt. And the Eva Huitfeldt has ESSM, the Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, Oerlikons, RIM 66 standard MR SM2 with a 90 nautical mile range, Odebreda 76mm, MU-90s, and harpoons, RGM-84s. So again, a good spread of weapons. This is the Slazak, and I believe this is a Polish vessel. It has an Odebreda 76mm, RBS-15s, ESSMs, and MU-90 impact torpedoes, lightweight torpedoes. And last but not least, a Visby corvette from the Visby class. This is the Visby, and has a Bofors 57mm, RBS-15s, and Type 45 torpedoes. Okay, we've got a detection and air detection, and we can see our aircraft has launched missiles against that air detection. The Gripens have launched. This is an Su-35 group from the look of it. Okay, we'll get them to turn on their Raven, or at least one of their Raven radars from that group. And you can see my caution around the Poseidon was well placed. So having a look at Copenhagen, we'll get some of their aircraft launched. We'll put them out to cover Ronneby Airport, I think. We'll put a couple more out as well. We'll put them in a patrol pattern that's covering the eastern approach. I also have air-to-air refueling. In previous missions I've lost some of my aircraft to running out of fuel, so I'll put that in a racetrack pattern there because I don't want to repeat that mistake. And okay, so what we've got here, we have the Su-35s being pursued by missiles that are outbound to them. So we'll have a look at the Su-35 group, 2 aircraft. This is the flanker, and you can see this aircraft has got its afterburners on and is going defensive. It's hoping to evade the incoming missiles. So we'll track this aircraft for a bit. One group of missiles seems to have acquired, is moving in. Now we're moving away from that. Perhaps tracking another aircraft. And the first Su-35 is shot down. We have a medium surface contact we'll get to in a minute. This is the second Su-35, and it's shot down as well. Okay, and we've detected another large aircraft. I don't know what it's doing. It could be a bomber or air refueling or something like that. It's a little bit out of weapons range, but we'll have a look at this medium surface contact here. We've detected but not identified this surface contact, but it's been marked as hostile. So we'll go to Ronneby Air Base and launch a couple of naval strike aircraft against that target. Get them heading off towards the target. Okay, and we may as well, it's within range of the RBS-15, so we'll get it to go ahead and launch straight away. All of its missiles expended, send it back to base, and it can rearm and refuel pretty much straight away while its missiles are being launched. Okay, Gripen's up here. What are they doing? AMRAAMs. They've got, okay, the Raven radars, we'll put them on so we can detect any air threats coming in. Get a bit of coverage happening there. Okay, and you can see that's a beautiful shot of the Gripen as they're passing the Kalmar Strait on their way to Öland, which is to the east of Ronneby. We'll speed up time as the Gripens cross the Kalmar Strait there. And we've got another fixed-wing aircraft contact. This is a fighter, and you can see that fighter's probably heading towards the Poseidon, which again is why I wanted that Poseidon out of the way. Okay, we'll move these Gripen into a different patrol pattern. You can see missiles have been launched against the fighter. How are we tracking? Okay, it's detected but not identified. But it does have at least one missile after it at the moment. Okay, it's identified as a Sukhoi T-50. Afterburners on, going defensive. But it's shot down. Okay. Okay, so this other group of Gripen, they're in a patrol pattern. They've got their radars on. Okay, they're heading to the northeast. Our air-to-air refueling aircraft will put that up to maximum height, slow it down. We'll also get its radars going so it's got a bit of coverage. It can see any threats coming in. Okay, the Poseidon. It's got it's Mark 54 torpedoes, and I'm heading that to the southwest to avoid some of those air threats that seem to be up to the northeast there, south of Öland. We'll get it going down low and slow. If we want to put it into an anti-submarine war profile, it's probably better that way. And we've got our Gripens are launching on the Schmel, the AWACS aircraft, speeding up time a little bit, track the missiles out against that aircraft. And here we are, here's the Beriev A50U Schmel. That's an AWACS aircraft, so that gives the adversary forces some pretty good situational awareness of what we're doing across the battle space. So knocking this aircraft out of the sky will be very good for us because it essentially will blind the enemy and force their units to use individual platform-based radars, which will give away their position a bit earlier. So here's hoping we get the kill. And yes, we're successful. We've shot down the Beriev A50U Schmel, thus denying our adversary some situational awareness. Okay, this group here, heading to the north, we'll get them tracking all the way to the north and see what they can see. This group here is almost in its assigned patrol position. It's got 12 AMRAAMs. We'll get it heading a little bit more to the northeast to see if we can engage whatever that is over there. Okay, we've got a new detection, the Pyotr Veliki group. We'll have a quick look at this. And, okay, this is the, looks like the flagship. This is the Pyotr Veliki, which is a Kirov-class cruiser, and you can see to the bow of the ship all the vertical launch systems. So this is a very dangerous adversary, particularly if it attempts land strike against Ronoby Air Base, for example. And if these ships are able to take out Ronoby Air Base, of course, that will cripple our air defence capabilities and essentially give them control over the Baltic. So our Gripens are now launching AMRAAMs against that large contact that we've got out to the northeast, and they're returning to a patrol position to the east of Öland. Okay, we've got our RBSs tracking in on that other contact. We're speeding up time just a bit to see what happens, how the battle develops with all those missiles going out. We don't have as many inbound air contacts as I expected. Okay, so this is an Ilyushin Il-78, which is most likely to be a refueling aircraft, although at 100 meters from the surface of the Baltic, quite low for refueling. But nonetheless, there it is. We have the AMRAAM going after it, and what this can do is help the adversary's air-to-air persistence. So if their aircraft run out of fuel, they can just refuel off this aircraft. But not anymore, because we've just shot it down, and that forces their fighters to then return to their airbase to refuel. It gives them much less endurance over the Baltic and gives us a significant advantage. Okay, just checking out some of our other fighter groups. Getting their radars activated so that they can detect any incoming threats, because of course we don't have an AWACS aircraft airborne ourselves, so we're very much reliant on the radars from our air-to-air platforms. Now, we lost the contact with the medium surface group, and as a result of that, those RBS-15s ceased tracking, and who knows what happened to them, but the bottom line is that they did not they're no longer tracking towards that surface target, so we have to launch new strikes against them. Okay, so we've got some more strikes with the F-35A Lightnings in a naval strike profile. We'll bring them close to Ronoby, so we've got some flexible options to attack either to the southeast surface group or to the northeast, so the larger surface group that's going. And I think that southeast target is something of a picket ship, probably designed to gather information on what we're doing. So again, if we can knock it out with these RBS-15s we're just launching, then we can it denies the enemy their situational awareness and gives us better control of this choke point in the Baltic. So I'll set up a patrol pattern here for these aircraft, get them going high and slow, and essentially they'll be protecting the Poseidon as it commences on a anti-submarine warfare, which I think will get it to do what its mission is. How about it hunts for submarines in this area, sees what it can find, because of course we have our own surface fleet there to the east of the Poseidon that we need to protect it from surface threats. I don't want to put it out to the front of that surface group yet because it's too vulnerable. We'll put our patrol aircraft up here. Got the RBS-15s out against the surface ship, so we'll speed up a bit of time, see how the battle develops. I really would have expected to see a lot more air contacts by this point, but we've certainly attrited the ones they've sent against us, plus some of their platforms like... okay, we've got a missile contact inbound, probably launched from the Pyotr Veliki, I'd imagine. Now, that's a lot of missiles. I'm imagining That's more than 10. That's probably from the Piotr Veliki surface group. There you can see the trajectory of them headed towards Runneby Air Base. So I think that's a land strike profile that we're seeing. So we'll go to Copenhagen Airport, launch all our available fighters and get them into patrol patterns near Runneby to provide some air cover there, and get them moving so that they're there by the time the missiles arrive. You can see that we're starting to launch AMRAAMs against that inbound missile group. Okay, he's also got 6 AMRAAMs in this group. We won't fire them just yet. We'll see how the attack develops, but there should be plenty of targets left, given that there were more than 15 missiles in the initial strike. Okay, this group's down to its sidewinders, having expanded its AMRAAM, so we'll get it to target with it, move in for the kill and target with its sidewinders. What else have we got? We've got an air superiority group here. We've got this group here. They've got a number of AMRAAMs. We'll leave them moving to the north. Okay, and we've shot down some more missiles, but plenty, at least more than 10 left to go. So we'll target with sidewinders, and we'll get some of those sidewinders away to reduce the number of missiles. Okay, they've expended all of their missiles. We'll get them to return to base. They're not going to be useful in the fight anymore. This group here, RBS-15's anti-shipping, what will we get them to? They've also got sidewinders, so they'll come in handy. We'll maybe take some opportunity shots. But this group here, air superiority group, they've still got 6 AMRAAM between them, so they'll target the missile group as well with their AMRAAMs remaining. And of course they've got sidewinders once they've expended their AMRAAMs. So the intention here is to reduce the number of missiles, ideally of course to 0, but as we can attrit them again and again and again, it just gives fewer targets for us to have to worry about, and particularly if enough missiles get through that they're engaged by the NASAMs in the point defense role at Runneby. So we just want to whittle that group down, reduce their number steadily. So we've got an air superiority group here, 16 AMRAAMs, definitely within range, and we'll start to launch against the inbound missile group here. And ideally I'd like to actually shoot down all of these land attack missiles before they get anywhere near Runneby. Okay, the RBS-15's now firing against the Piotr Veliki, and we'll get their sidewinders against the missile group. Okay, we've still got our RBS-15s tracking against the surface target to the southeast. Okay, checking our aircraft, Poseidon. How's he going? Moving into his search area. He's got the sonar buoys, so we'll give him a patrol pattern to drop the sonar buoys into that area. That's to the port side of our surface action group that's transiting to the northeast, and that just gives him a measure of protection. Later on, when I'm more comfortable that there's no surface vessels that can fire anti-air weapons against the Poseidon and no air threat, I'll move that Poseidon to the northeast, but for now we'll patrol there. Okay, these guys going back home, expended all their weapons. We've got some, looks like AMRAAMs going against the missile group, so a bit of action still happening here with sidewinders. Target the missile group with sidewinders. Okay, we're starting to get some more hits on that missile group. Okay, these guys have got 4 sidewinders between them, so we'll get them to launch, or to close and engage. This group has 9 AMRAAMs left, but it looks like that was the last of the land attack missiles that were expended there, so that's good news. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So going back to Runneby, check out the air situation. A little bit of time before we can launch our next airstrike, another 12 minutes between turns here. So Copenhagen, we've got 6 minutes before our next naval strike profile is ready to launch. RBS-15 is going against our surface contact. We'll speed up time a little bit. We've got 2 sets of anti-shipping missiles out. This has been identified now as the Admiral Gorshkov, so until now we had detected but not identified this vessel, and again this is a good picket ship to gather situational awareness on us, potentially have a crack at any aircraft that get close enough, like that Poseidon. So what we're going to do is remove this hopefully from the battle space, which will give us more security in that southern part of the Baltic and deny the enemy awareness. The missile's about to strike, RBS-15s, and wait for it, and there we go, and Admiral Gorshkov damaged but not destroyed. Okay, so that means we're going to have to launch more strikes against the Gorshkov. We'll speed up time a little bit, see what we've got. Espirito, here we go, we've got an F-35 naval group, they've got Kongsberg JSM, they're within range, so we'll launch all of them. We'll keep them going in the battle space though, because they've got AMRAAMs and Sidewinders, which might be useful against incoming missiles or other land strikes or some such. So we've got JSMs, we'll get them in a position where the other naval strike group goes against the Piotr Veliki, which seems to be launching against our inbound RBS-15s. We'll slow down some of these fighters that were going into patrol Runneby. We'll get them to turn on their radars so that we know what's going on. Obviously the risk with turning on your radars is you give away your position, but these guys are in a pretty good defensive position as it is. This guy's got its radar on, this patrol pattern. Okay. So we'll get these naval strike aircraft still moving. Air superiority group here's on patrol, pretty happy with that, but we just might reduce their speed. Want to make sure that they don't burn through their fuel too quickly. And you can see the enemy's S-300 missiles from the Piotr Veliki group shooting against our RBS-15s. And here's the Piotr Veliki group. We've got 3 ships in the group, this one unidentified, and the Moskva is the 3rd one in the group. And you can see its missile launches there. It's been detected by the Helsingborg and also by the P-8A Poseidon. So this is Slava class Moskva, and you can see the S-300s shooting out 7,350 kilometers an hour is pretty quick compared to the inbound missiles and any aircraft that we've got. So every time they fire them, they're now firing further S-300s. That's not a bad outcome. Obviously I'd like to get my RBS-15s to hit this surface action group as quickly as possible, but realistically they've got a lot of anti-air protection, so I want them to expend as many of those S-300s as they can against my missiles, because I can always take those strike aircraft back to base, refuel, rearm and go out for another sortie. Meanwhile the surface group, however, once it's expended its S-300s, that's it. Once it expends all of its anti-air missiles, then it doesn't have very much in the way of protection. So eventually I just need to be persistent and I'll wear down their defences and succeed. I just have to preserve my, my launch platforms. Okay, the S-300, you can see how fast it moves. And it's intercepting. But the RBS-15s are still inbound, so Piotr Veliki group is probably going to start launching in a moment, I think. There we go. And Piotr Veliki and Moskva are both launching their anti-air weapons against my RBS-15s. So it's likely that they'll keep expending them, eventually knock down the RBS-15s, but that is pretty much what we want. Okay, that group's up there doing its patrol to the north. Happy with that. We've got our KC-767 in air refueling. Is happy days for that one. We've got an air superiority fighter coming up to bingo fuel from the look of it, and its partner is already headed back. Naval strike aircraft, Kongsberg's not quite within range, but we'll just keep them tracking to the northeast and get them within range. Speed up time a little bit to see what happens, how this battle develops. I'm particularly looking at the RBS-15s heading to the southeast there to try and knock out the Admiral Gorshkov. Now look, okay, we've lost a grip to fuel, which is really unfortunate because I put the air-to-air refueling aircraft up precisely to stop this from happening. So that's a bit unfortunate. Almost ready to launch its Kongsbergs. The Admiral Gorshkov here, damaged but not destroyed, but it's got some Kongsberg JSMs coming in at the Admiral Gorshkov. So my hope is that these Kongsbergs will finish the job, sink the Gorshkov and free up the southern part of the Baltic for us. And this is, I guess, our first phase of our action here, is to at least provide for our own security, free up the southern Baltic, so that we can then really dominate that area when the Piotr Veliki group comes in from the central Baltic and contests, you know, that strait to the east of Gotland there. So here's the Admiral Gorshkov. Weapons inbound. It's already heavily damaged, but hasn't lost speed. And there we go, more damaged and destroyed. Okay, so that's the first of our 5 enemy surface combatants we have to destroy, being the Admiral Gorshkov as it slips beneath the waves. Okay. So looking at the picture, we've cleared the surface to the southern Baltic. We've secured that. There's nothing on the air plot. Naval strike aircraft is slightly out of range of the Piotr Veliki group. It's almost a half an hour into the mission, so we might take this opportunity to bring this episode to a close and pick up the story from the next episode. As always, thanks for watching. For more Naval War Arctic Circle content, check out the NATO campaign and Jersey blockade playlists on our channel. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.